Been listening there to a press conference in Damascus with the French President Emmanuel Macron and Syria's President Ahmed al-Sharaa. Macron then on a landmark trip to Syria, the first of its kind by a Western European head of state. Well, let's talk a little bit about some of the key points raised in that press conference with Angela Diffley, our foreign editor. And Angela, let's talk about Syria's economy. That's something that both of those leaders really emphasise. This, of course, on the back of Syria's brutal civil war, where it needs now billions for reconstruction.
Absolutely, and whatever the lofty values expressed in this press conference, everybody knows that this is about making the economy work as well. And the Syrian leader, al-Sharaa, is extremely keen to have sanctions lifted on Syria, to have assets unfrozen, to have international financial transactions unblocked. These are the keys to getting the economy again. He cannot provide a stable environment and deal with the other problems Syria has if the economy is proving to be a major problem. There has already been a certain amount of investment in Syria, but nowhere near enough. Total Energy, the global French energy giant. The CEO is in talks today with his counterpart in Syria about exploratory projects, offshore projects in Syria, looking for oil perhaps, and whether or not it would be usable, and more probably gas in that part of the world. But that is an important project that they will be cooperating on. And the other thing is the idea of a pipeline crossing Syria so that Iraqi oil can bypass the Strait of Hormuz, because we've all seen what a stranglehold that can be on the world economy. Iraqi oil, the idea is to get a pipeline constructed so that it can go through Syria. That is something French engineering companies and Total Energy are hoping to be able to work on. All of that is vital for all of the rest to work properly in Syria.
As you say, the economy, a key challenge then for Syria now. Another big piece of the puzzle is security, because just today we saw these two explosions in Damascus, apparently just right around the corner from where President Emmanuel Macron was staying.
Yeah, Emmanuel Macron was safe and sound. We think he was on the way to the presidential palace when the bombs went off. 18 people were injured, and last week 10 people were killed in a cafe in Damascus. And until now, Damascus has been largely spared any lingering violence in Syria. But this is a new development. In terms of the meetings going ahead, it didn't impact it greatly, but it is a huge symbol of the fact that Syria is not yet secure. And there are a number of areas. We all remember that sort of euphoria when the al-Assad regime were toppled, refugees or former refugees scattered around the world saying, you know, I would like to go back to Syria. That euphoria has somewhat calmed down. There are still problems. Part of the problem is that former people from the Assad regime have not really faced justice, and that has led to vengeance campaigns. And so in the Alawite community, there has been a lot of violence towards Alawites and vice versa, because they are considered to be allied to the former regime. Similarly, the Kurds who want their autonomy maintained are very resistant to being integrated into Syria's army. That is something al-Sharaa is trying to do. So there is a lot of resistance from the Kurds. And there is also the question of, and they talked about it a lot there at that press conference, Syria's territorial integrity. Israel is extremely worried by developments in Syria because Turkey is very, very influential, is seen to be, by many, to be controlling the strings, very good relationship with al-Sharaa, and that unnerves the Israelis. They are also unnerved by al-Sharaa's Islamist past. They are also mindful and say they wish to protect the Druze community. There's a lot of Druze Muslims in northern Israel. They've always traditionally had a good relationship with Israel. And Israel has targeted military bases in Syria, mostly military bases which are due to be transferred to Turkey. But that is all this territorial integrity idea. That is an infraction of that, of course. Turkey also has a presence in northern Syria, and Turkey of course, considers many of the Kurdish population to be run by terrorist organisations. So there is still a lot going on there.